I'm celebrating my 5-year ABEversary. That's what I'm calling it. In 5 years of hearing what you say and applying it in my life, I've never worked full-time again since my first workshop with you. I am in the least amount of debt that I've ever been in, and the only debt that I have is one fabulous money-making property, and all the other properties have been paid for. And I'm so thankful. I'm just so thankful that you're doing what you're doing, and I'm so thankful that I care about what my life is like enough to listen to what you're saying. And I've done it right, I've done it wrong, I've done it all. And thank you.
Well, we like that you're doing it in a way that feels good, because that's ultimately the way that is working, isn't it? People talk about success, and we know you're having a lot of it. And we always like to say that the joy factor is the success factor, because everything else will follow. Once you get that in place, then all the other things have to follow that. Yeah, really good.
They do. And so I'm wondering about the emotional guidance scale more specifically. Does everyone have the same emotional guidance scale?
Well, really, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because the relationship between who you really are and where you are, that's what equals your scale.
Who you really are and where you are?
Life has caused you to become more and more and more. Now, we know it's confusing. Sometimes we talk about the scale this way, sometimes we talk about the scale this way, but this tuned into who you really are, that's the receiving mode. And so when you're in the receiving mode, you're in that love and appreciation and so forth, and the further you get from it, the worse it feels. And you have lots of different ways that you describe in words what that variance is. But of course, this is the perfect question at this point in our workshop evolution, because of course it's different for everyone, because no two people are in exactly the same place. That's why your navigational systems that you have in your vehicles or in your phones don't just have one destination and one current location. They don't all say, okay, all of you must go to Atlanta, and then we'll lead you to where you want to be. Or they don't just say, go to Atlanta, and then we'll lead you to the only place that we can navigate you to. There are infinite possibilities, aren't there? Just as there are infinite possibilities of what you might have put into your vortex and where you might be in relationship to it. So the scale itself, we mean your awareness of the emotions that you are feeling. But all of that is a variable depending upon how much you want it, how long you've wanted, how much momentum there is, how many engines you've got going that way, how many engines you've got going that way. Every emotional scale and every guidance system is individually tailored precisely to you.
I love that answer. So I remember when it was up and down, and I remember when it was side to side and upstream and downstream. And I'm choosing for myself to do a lazy Susan analogy. I get to be in the middle. All the feelings are around me, and I can just turn and turn into more joy. And it's less effort for me.
That's a good analogy. And so where's depression on this lazy Susan?
Well, I tried to leave that one out of scale. No, that would be at the bottom. Fear and depression is at the bottom. At the edge. You're right. I get what you mean.
And so if it's out here on the outer edge, so what you're saying is you want to meditate and go back to neutral where you can then choose what you want?
Yeah. Yeah. Or I just like it to be a pivoting.
We're just trying to fix up your lazy Susan analogy because it doesn't really work otherwise.
It's so true. It's okay. It only works in my mind, and that's fine with me. So what I'm wanting to do, I guess, is I can move up scale very quickly. And I listened to what you said. I've practiced that. I can go up really quickly. And of course, that's enjoyable. I'm less satisfied with how quickly I can move down the scale. And I really appreciate the last hot seater for a million reasons. But he touched upon that idea that sometimes you're not as aware and you dip into something that you're not wanting to feel.
But isn't it a good thing if you're not aware that it gets big enough that you become aware of it? What's the big deal in that? Step 1 is ask, you know about that, blah, blah, blah. Step 2 is answer, you know about that. Your inner being holds your vortex, blah, 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 you know about that. Step 3 is you got to get in the receiving mode. We've talked about that all day. Step 4 is you become a master at being in the receiving mode. funny that step 4 is just a really good step 3, but that's what it is. You're more consistently in step 3, and then step 5 is you're not mad at yourself when you're back in step 1 again. And so in this process of emanating a vibration, which is your point of attraction, and everything answering that, don't you just love knowing that it doesn't matter where you are at any time in relationship to where you want to be, you can always get to where you want to be? Isn't that really the only thing that you need to know? That it really does not matter? Once you have that confidence, the reason that you can go up the scale or down the scale quickly, and we would say even equally quickly, is because you're a really good focuser. And what you focus on, you get a vibration going. In other words, you're like a dog on a bone. When you get hold of a thought, you stay there long enough that a lot of things activate around it. But you see, there's never any danger or urgency or struggle that you will ever again live because you know how it works. So what difference does it make? You could go to the depths of despair and your inner being isn't suffering one bit on your behalf, especially now because your inner being knows that you know what negative emotion means and you know what to do about it. And meanwhile, in the negative emotion, you're going to stir up some contrast that's going to be of benefit anyway. So win-win, 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 win-win-win. And when you realize that your inner being accepts you're molding yourself into place as perfection, then in a little while you'll start giving yourself the benefit of the doubt in the way that your inner being gives you the benefit of the doubt, and everybody else too, you see. Do you think you're harder on yourself or harder on others?
I'm harder on myself. I sometimes don't know others exist.
You're hard on yourself because you have desires?
You know the TV show Shameless? It's my favorite. It's like 10 years of therapy in a couple of seasons. I love watching that show because I try to watch through the eyes of my inner being, and I can love all the characters. I can love the alcoholism. I can love the abuse. I can see why people do the things they do. And I feel like it helped me get to a better place of doing that more with myself, of seeing myself and saying, listen, came in, like you say, hitting the ground running. I did great. Sometimes I feel like I'm really doing all right with it. And then other times I do really judge behaviors and choices as dysfunctional.
Let's talk about why that might be. There's still something unresolved in your understanding of how this all works. And you are representative of so many others. So we're really happy to have this conversation. We talk endlessly about you being the creator of your own reality. And what that translates to almost every one of you is that there is a manifestation that you are in the process of creating. We would like you to right now look at this whole subject of creating your own reality differently. We would like you instead to look at the happily ever after trail, which will result in some manifestations. The reality that you're creating is the happily ever after, always unfolding trail that will result in some manifestations. The creating your own reality is not there are manifestations that you're going to figure out how to get to. The creating your own reality is you're going to live happily ever after, and there's going to be some manifestations too. Because the reality that you're creating is this holding yourself in this place where you're in the receiving mode, where you are utilizing the ingredients, the immediate ingredients in your immediate surroundings for the satisfying fulfillment of your life experience right here and now. It's sort of like getting on an airplane to go to some fabulous destination, but you've got a 14-hour flight.
I can't relate to this at all. I love it.
You have a 14-hour flight on your way to this fabulous destination, but your life for the next 14 hours is going to be on the way to this destination. That's your life. And you only have the ingredients that are on that airplane with you in order to create right now. That's all you're going to mold into place. So you want to find things to focus upon that feel good while you're focusing upon. You want to find pleasure in the food, even though, let's face it, it's weird food. No matter how much you paid for the ticket, the food on the airplane is weird. So you've got some adjusting to do before you're really going to appreciate that. There's all kinds of adjustments, self-adjustments that you have to make. You have to confine yourself to a relatively small space. which you are sharing with a lot of other people. And sometimes you have to play some mind games with yourself to make you comfortable. Esther was in a first-class seat on the way to some fabulous place just a little while ago, and when she pushed her seat button, she thought she was going into a CAT scan. Now, there were people in the back of the plane that would have loved to have had that seat that was going to lay all the way down. Esther just was not prepared that more than half of her body was going to disappear into some hole. She didn't expect that to happen. She had to adjust to that. We're just saying, no matter how good or not good you are, you have only the ingredients that have surrounded you that law of attraction is going to use as the stuff that's going to respond to the vibration that you've got going. Now, this is a subject of turning thoughts to things, isn't it? Because at any point in time, you're standing in an environment. Here you are in this room. This is the ingredients that you've got here. And of course, you could get up and leave the room. There are all kinds of options, but we're just saying this environment is the ingredients from which your point of attraction is going to make the life experience that you are living either joyfully or not joyfully. So when you acknowledge that I am where I am, I am where I am, that's profound. Write that down. I am where I am. I am where I am. And in this manifested place where I am, where I'm seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching, in the midst of all of that reaction to life experience, I am emanating a vibration that's going to bring back from these immediate ingredients, immediate results. From these immediate ingredients, I'm going to get immediate results. Now, I can fantasize about tomorrow, and I can ignore everything that's happening here and go deep into my own mind. But really, as thoughts are turning to things, my thoughts are turning to things, and they're using the ingredients that are surrounding me, don't you think? Don't you think that's what's happening? And so, what's the best utilization of these ingredients? Well, the best utilization of these ingredients has to do with the momentum. In other words, what's your expectation? Do you expect to live happily ever after? Do you expect these flight attendants to be wonderful? Do you expect your pilot to be skilled? Do you expect the temperature of the cabin to be comfortable? Do you expect to thrive during this environment? In other words, what are you evoking from these ingredients? And you can't just start now. You've started long before now, because your propensity to offer a vibration to which the law of attraction is going to respond was underway long before you got into this moment. That's what you said. Sometimes it happens so fast, I don't have time to react. Well, it's too late now. It's too late now. You're in your now, and all you've got is response to your ingredients. Are you following us a little bit? But what if in moment, you're basking, you're deliberately looking for positive aspects. You're feeling good about who you are. You're taking care of yourself. You're breathing deeply. What if you have for a while cared about how you feel, so much so that you haven't been trying to solve problems, you've been basking about things, you haven't been criticizing people and demanding results, you've been appreciating them and enjoying who they are. What if you've tuned yourself to that high frequency of your inner being, and now you and your inner being are surrounded by ingredients that are going to prove so delightful to you? Because these things are always true. You always have your inner being and your inner being's influence with you. You always have some sort of relationship with your inner being. It might be sketchy or it might be solid. It might be allowing or it might be resistant. In other words, this is always true in every moment. And you have the ingredients of your environment that are going to respond to whatever you've got going on. So if you're flying off the handle all the time, if you're feeling a lot of strong emotion and it feels to you like you can't control it, it's because you were not tending to your vibration in less tense times. That's all it means. It's all right that it means this, but this is what it means. This is the answer to your important question. It means that too late, you're trying to apply vibrational skills after Esther's already shoved you down the slide.
That makes sense. I get that. And it's helpful.